Okay, we're now going to look at the chords which we use, which are the sort of the linking chords or the ending chords. So you might have a collection of chords where you've got A, D, E, whatever basic chords, and people introduce these sort of finishing chords. It's an A6 there, for example. Might be an ending chord there. So we can look at them as they followed in their letters. Really, we're going to notice a change in the actual number of strings that we're playing, and this is where we first see this for the first time. So we're going to look at our A collection of chords to start. Okay, A6 is the first thing we're going to look at, which is ironically breaking the rules of A, which were 5 strings always. We're now going to play 4 for this chord. So imagine you've got your fingers on for A. Okay, put another finger on the line of fingers. You can do it with one finger, it's much more difficult. You can do if you're happy with that. You got to, just a bit of a hint, tuck your hand a bit underneath. So I flay my fingers this side. If you do this, it makes it more difficult, you lose a lot of strength. So flay your fingers as I go on, flay them this side. And you can do it that way, so it's... Okay, 4, 3, 2, 1. Or we can do it individually. Very difficult to sort of get them all in, really. As you heard there, my fingers barely fit in, so usually it's better to do it this way. A6 is just 4. Okay. Moving away from that, if we go back to our basic A shape and take the bottom finger off, we have A4. Don't worry too much about why these terms of the numbers changing but the letters the same. We can go through that at a much later date, but I just wanted to look at these on face value and try and learn them. So it's 6 strings now. We've broken the rule. We've gone from 5. We've added 1 now. So that's A4. Okay, good. Then we have the last one for this particular group for A is called A9. That basically is E with the 5th string finger removed. That's the best way to remember A9. So it's first finger on the 3rd string, 1st fret, and then your second finger on the 4th string on the 2nd fret. And you play 5 again, back to 5. Okay. A lot of Beatles songs tend to use that sort of chord, the A9th chord. Good. So we've done A. We're now going to move to B. And we're going to do our first bar chord in this collection, which don't worry too much about at the moment, but we are going to look at this in more detail in another video. So the B fret, we have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th fret, which on my guitar has 2 dots. Sometimes it'll have just a 1 dot, but on mine it's got 2. You need to put your bar finger on. This is where it is a bit fingers, toes, and everything else. Okay, good. Nice straight bar finger. Okay, so we have our 3rd finger on the 5th string on the 9th fret. Have our 2nd finger on the 8th fret on the 3rd string, and our 1st sort of string is touched by the little finger on the 9th. So we've got to work the hand quite hard here. My finger is, for this one, in the middle. All the strings as bar chords usually are. That's another sort of Beatles-esque chord, really. Okay, so we've covered that B 9th. We've then got, we had A6, which was 1 finger there on the 2nd. B flat 6th is the next one up. It's covering 4, 3, 2, 1, all in a line. Once again, you can either do it that way, or you can do it individual fingers. We'll do it this way first. 4 strings. We can try and fit them all in. It's easier to change if you've got that finger like that and using it in that way to other things. Okay, moving on from that. The 6th fret, so we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good. This is going to be more of a finishing chord now. B flat minor 9th, or whole mouthful there. If you cover 3 strings with 1 finger on the 6th fret, and then put your 3rd finger on the 1st string on the 8th fret. this is probably the lowest amount of strings that we'll play for now, which is 3 strings, so we're playing what we're touching. Good. We're now going to move on to C range of chords, and a lot of this is going to be around C, adding a finger, taking a finger away, etc. So our first chord is C7th, which is probably the most popular ones of these C group we're going to look at. So remember how we get C, 2nd string, miss 1, 4th, 5th. Okay, good. To create the chord we can look at now, C7th, we put our little finger, with already having C there, put our little finger on the 3rd string on the 3rd fret. We still are playing 5 strings as we did with C. It sounds like this. Good. Take your little finger off, we're left with C again. This time, rather than adding a finger, we're going to create our next chord by taking a finger away. So the finger we're going to take away is going to be this 1st string. So we're left with 4 and 5 strings being played. This is called C major 7th, and it sounds like this. It's 5 strings again. Good. Okay. We haven't really looked at sharps yet, but I'll introduce our first one now. C sharp. This is a bit more fingers and thumbs and toes again, but I'll show you the best way to play it. I'm not even going to show you another way, I'm going to show you the best way to play it from the offset. This might take a bit of practice, but this is what it's like. We're going to do what we call it, we had D there individually like that, so that shape is like that. We're going to have the same shape, but this time it's going to be what we call a D shape, but we're moving down 1, and our 1 finger, first finger, is covering 3. So rather than doing that, we can do a D like that anyway, but the C sharp starts here on the 1st fret. A bit more difficult to play because you need to put a lot more pressure on. So my thumb is going to be behind this fret for this one. So we cover our 1st finger covering 3, we put our 2nd finger on the 2nd string, 2nd fret, and our 3rd finger on the 4th string on the 3rd fret, and we're playing 4. Have a good look at that. Can you see that there? Good. If you start to try and do individual fingers and little finger, you can do it that way, it's a lot more difficult. I recommend straight away to practice it that way. Okay, so we've covered the C chords, so we've now got D range of chords, the sort of additional stroke ending chords. We'll start with the more difficult one, which is D sharp. So using this D shape again like we did for C sharp, let's try and link them together. So that would be D, so C sharp, D, D sharp, so it's moved up to the 3rd fret. We're going to cover 3 again, we're going to put our finger on the 2nd string on the 4th, and then our 3rd finger on the 4th string on the 5th, and we're going to play 4 strings again. So that's not an easy chord, it's a proper fiddly chord, that one. Okay, moving back to the other D ones. Okay. If you put your fingers on for a normal D, as we've done previously, right. If we put a little finger on here, and there's a reason why I've put all the fingers on, we don't have to, we can take this finger away and do that, but usually this D 4th chord is what it's called, with this finger on, is used with D, on and off with D. So D 4th is 4 strings, and it sounds like this. Do that again, sorry, my phone contact. The reason why I've associated that with D is for this reason. I'll give you an example of one of the Queen songs, Crazy Little Thing Called Love, goes like this. So it's used quite a lot with D, as an addition to D and taken off, added on, taken off. Brian Adams, got my first real 6 string. Sonora 69 uses the same thing with a bit more fingering, but just to be aware that's usually used with D. Okay, moving away from that, if we put our fingers on for D7, the best way to show you this and its best accuracy, if we then take off the first finger, the finger covering the first string, we're left with these two fingers on their own. For this one we play 5. That's called D7th suspended second. What that means suspended means remove the the second elements. We've suspended equals removed the second element of the chord. Good. Okay, we're then going to move on to the E ones. I think that'll be the last set that we'll do for the sort of additional chords. We'll start with this sort of classical chord, or my favourite chord, E minor added ninth. Okay, so our first finger goes on the 5th string on the 2nd fret, and our third finger goes on the 4th fret, 4th string. It's all 6, and it sounds like this. Sorry, I just caught the string and just trying to show you a good view of it there. Okay, good. Put our fingers now on for E minor and take the top finger off. That's called E minor suspended 4th, and it's all 6 strings again. Good, moving on from that. Put our fingers back on for E minor. This time put our third finger underneath on the 2nd string on the 2nd fret below the E minor shape on the 2nd string, and it sounds like this. This is E minor 6th. Do it again. Good. Keep the E minor on, but this time rather than leaving our finger here, take that off. Put our little finger now on the 2nd string 3rd fret. With the E minor shape on, we now become E minor 7th, and it sounds like this, 6 strings again. Good. And the last chord for this group is E suspended, which is basically A moved up 1. So we're on 5, 4, 3, and it sounds like this, 6 strings, and that's kind of used in the Mamas and Papas California Dreaming. So that's actively used there. Good. We've covered all that lovely range of chords. There's loads of chords out there, but those are ones that we will sort of look at bringing into songs occasionally to enhance the variance of a chord of A or E or whatever. We're bringing in one of the other chords we've got. Right, we'll end that one there.